So welcome everyone. How's it been today? All right, thank you so much for Claudette's session. I'm sure we learned a lot in terms of technology, and that's what our session is actually going to drive today. And so let's look at how technology has really transformed the learning and development space. So I'll ask my first question to Dr. Awosonya. Sorry, I think I've mixed it. Okay, all right. Dr. Adesoji. All right, thank you. Please, how has learning been transformed using technology in our space, in our learning and development space of today?
All right, thank you very much. I will start by saying that we work in a very fluid environment, and the fluidity of the environment has also affected the business model. So basically, if a change within, and if the change without is greater than the change within, then decadence is inevitable. So as our environment changes, definitely we know that even the L&D landscape has to change. So how has it really affected or impacted on the L&D space? One of the things that we have really seen in terms of transformation is the aspect of impact, which when it comes to how do people eventually get value when it comes to training. How do we ensure that the time spent, for example, a lot of people have said quite a number of things in the previous session, and one of the things that really come across as being reiterated was the fact that there is this gravitation from the traditional learning to people having, going through a micro learning, having a bite-sized content in such a way that people can actually learn on the go. One thing that we have actually done in ensuring that people embrace learning and also transform them at this space was to come up with this self-paced learning, whereby individuals eventually get to learn at their own space rather than working through a traditional space. So basically, to cut the long story short, I think one major thing that has really helped us when it comes to technology, driven learning, is the fact that it has helped us with the speed, with the impact, and also with the value to the organization. Moving from knowledge accumulation to skill acquisition, and then moving it to talking about how do we really impact this when it comes to the organization. So basically, what is the impact that I think has been the major area of significance when it comes to how we have actually driven technology to effect learning in our environment. All right.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adesoji. Taking the cue from what you said, bite-sized learning, I'll move to Mr. Omotayo. Did I get your name correct? All right, thank you. Thank you so much. So thank you. So how do you think bite-sized learning can be integrated in our organizations today?
Okay, I think that I would say almost like a second part question of what he said.
Yes, please.
So what is bite-sized? They also call it micro, right? What you find out is attention span is very expensive. Like the lady had said, we're doing something now. 2 minutes later, she said even 30 seconds. Now, what we've been able to do with learning management systems is to introduce very, very short learning experiences. I don't want to call them content because it could be form of game, it could be form of SOP, it could actually be in form of a regular training, right? But the advantage of bite-sized learning is you can already see that the content is only going to cost you maybe 10 minutes. So a lot of people don't have that resistance to it, to say, I'm going to quickly go through this, I will learn it, and I'll be able to get back to what I was doing before. Now, part of the reason why I said is the second part question is, how do we get bite-sized learning? We get bite-sized learning through e-learning to start with. And one of the major areas of e-learning is we say repetition till mastery is achieved, right? If you put everybody in this audience, if you put us in a classroom and a very fantastic speaker is on stage, everybody will not learn the same. However, if I have a micro-learning content and I am able to go through it as fast as I can, even though it took me a very short period of time, I can go through it 10 times a day till I understand it. Meanwhile, some of us can go through it just once and then understand it. So bite-sized learning is also what I call almost like a personalized learning. They've given it to you to go through it as fast as you can, but you are able to go through it so many more times because it is micro and allows mastery to be achieved.
Awesome, thank you. Please, let's appreciate him. All right, thank you so much. My next question goes to Onesimus. What do you think are the effective technologies we can use to deliver content to our employees of today?
Okay, thank you very much. I think there are a lot of technologies that we can use to deliver effective learning today. Technology has really disrupted the learning and development space, to be frank. We have the LMS that people use today, but the truth is that technology has even gone beyond LMS to what we call the learning experience platform, which is the LSP. And the LSP, the difference between the LMS and the LSP is that there's some form of artificial intelligence in LSP that can give you some learning, personalized learning journeys that it can tell you the next course that you need to take while you are taking a particular course. So as you are taking it, they call it Netflix of learning. You know, you are watching your Netflix, it's telling you the next movie that you need to watch based on what you are watching. So that is how learning is now. So you can do the LMS. Some organizations still use LMS, but some have moved to LXP. And there are some organizations that does just online training. So there are various kind of technologies that you can use to get effective training. But the truth is that what you need to do as an individual is to know, as a company, is to know what you really want, get your requirements right, and know what will suit your organization, the kind of platform that will suit your organization. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please can we appreciate him? All right, so I'll ask Nkechinyere, please, does this learning technology improve learning in organizations? What's your take?
Hello?
Hi.
Thank you so much. Oh, definitely. You can't really, in the world now, where we are now, future of work and everything, we'll be talking about how technology is practically disrupting everything and all that. You can't really do without technology. And technology is really adding value to learning. One, you can actually scale. So you can actually reach a lot of people through your LMS, your e-learning platform. Okay. Unlike the traditional, approach to learning where people have to come to class and you're managing all the logistics with training and all that. And at the same time, you can't even, reach out or even attend or even train a whole number of people. But with technology and the LMS, VILT programs and all that, you can actually scale. Okay. With your LMS, you can have 500 employees go on the LMS and they're all learning. You can't achieve that with virtual instructor-led trainings or even classroom trainings. So you can actually scale. Then even time. We've been talking about bite-sized learning, personalized learning, and all. That's the advantage of technology. You can learn at your own pace. Now, even another thing is with bite-sized learning, that's personalized learning, right? You can actually decide how you want to learn. Remember that a lot of us are swamped with work. We complain about time. I don't have time to go to the LMS to sit for 2-3 hours to complete a course and all that. With personalized learning, enabled by technology, bite-sized learning, you can decide that on a weekly basis, I'll take a course that will just last for like 5 minutes. I'll take another course that will last for like 10 minutes. Before you know it, at the end of the month, you can actually sit back and notice that you have actually completed a whole lot of courses. So you can't actually overemphasize the importance and the benefit of technology to learning. You can't take it away. We can talk about how technology has really impacted learning from now to tomorrow. We can't even conclude. So it's a continuum. It's a continuous thing. Technology has come to stay. In fact, statistics, research has shown that by 2026, we'll have more than 57 million people on e-learning. That's learning virtually, applying technology. In fact, IBM saved 200 million by moving employees to online learning. So the advantages outweigh the cons, really.
All right, thank you so much. So taking a cue from what you said, if you're going to have that percentage of people moving to learning, how do we best select a good learning management system? I'm going to ask Dr. Adesoji to help us with that.
All right, thank you very much. I would say there is no silver bullet to this. We can't actually say one particular model is or particular solution is the best. But what I'll just provide is possibly guidelines that I think we should look at while selecting the solution and the kind of technological intervention for learning. The first thing is you need to look at the size of the organization. Sometimes we don't do things because everybody is doing it. You need to look at the size of the organization. Look at the IT infrastructure of the organization. Is it something that can actually sync with the kind of e-learning solution you want to deploy to your organization? And if there's going to be an issue, a kind of a conflict with what you have in terms of IT infrastructure, I would advise that you don't go for it. That might not be a good signal. Secondly, you also look at the cost. Of course, you might say that at the first stage of adoption, technology cost could be very high, but in the long run, the return on impact is usually very, very economical because you save a lot of cost in the long run. But at the point of bringing it on board, it will cost a lot. So the question you need to ask is, do we think an organization can actually afford, because it costs quite a lot, can afford the cost at that particular time? Then secondly, the third areas you can also look at is actually support. If there's anything that can frustrate an e-learning administration is when you don't have a very good support system. For example, there's a glitch while you are trying to deploy learning content, and then you can't find somebody to help you out from the people that have actually deployed that solution. Then there will be a problem. So you need to actually identify this and also iron it out, even at the point of bringing on board such a consultant. Then apart from that as well, one other thing you also need to find out is how does it users' experience is very key. Are you sure that this is something that people will experience in such a way that they can actually say something positive about it? They will have a very positive experience when they eventually use this platform. Albert Einstein said that if you can't say it in a simple way, then you don't know it well enough. The essence of technology is because we want to simplify our process. But if it's going to complicate the process, then definitely it's not something we should actually go for. That's my take. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Please go ahead.
Yes, please. Then, of course, you must take cognizance of your audience. Who do you have in your organization? What the demographic of the organization? What are the age brackets? What are the kinds of, because that will also help you take cognizance of the different learning styles. We all learn differently. So that whatever you're curating or whatever you want to put on that LMS, it takes cognizance of the different learning styles. We have people that learn when they see, learn better when they hear. Some like to write, and some like to just, have that hands-on practice. So you need to take cognizance of all this. Then, of course, that you must also be mindful of, like you said, cost. How much are you willing to invest in technology? Because if we're looking at, making the most of technology with learning, you must invest in cloud-based technology such that your people, even when they are not at work, they can have access to these learning resources with limited data. So you must really take cognizance of all these other things.
All right, thank you so much for that add-on. Thank you so much. Taking a cue also from what you said, yes, cost is a key element that organizations look at, and that's in terms of the organization. How about in terms of the staff? Now, we've had situations where we find staff having some challenges, even accessing some of this LMS, e-learning content on the LMS during work time. So you'd see sometimes organizations will say, oh, you can take your e-learning courses outside the office, outside work. So I'll pose this question to Mr. Omotayo. Are there certain challenges in terms of having our organizational staff, employees, accessing this e-learning content off the internet outside work? What solutions or what advice will you give them in terms of accessing content, learning after work, most especially, learning after work hours, accessing the LMS? Are there any challenges that staff experiences, and how can organizations help them to resolve this?
Okay, thank you for the question. I think I need to piggyback off the last question, then I'll come to this. Okay. In relation to selecting an LMS, I want to give a scenario where cost is not a problem and we have actually done our needs analysis and we've sensitized our audience and we know that it's good to, go that route for technology, right? Now, I just wanted to take a minute to speak to the L&D people, because part of what my organization does is we actually sell learning management systems to companies. It is very important for you to do your requirements gathering, right? And what has happened over the years is we find out that everybody says they want an LMS, but truly what they want is not what was conveyed. So I'll give you an example. Do you want to use your LMS for recruitment? Do you want to use your LMS for test taking? Or do you just really want to use your LMS for delivering training, right? We've also gotten to a point where some people will get an LMS, but really what they really wanted was an authoring tool to deliver e-learning content. So it's very, very important to do that, right? The second part to that is you have to ask yourself, the kind of LMS you want, does it do what we call the Big Four? Now, what is the Big Four? A system that can tell you time spent by your audience, that can tell you completion rates, if they completed a content or not, tell you the score, and then whether they passed or failed. That should be the standard. Then lastly is the system you want to acquire. What standard is it? Is it a SCORM compliant platform? Is it a AICC? Is it Tinkan API? That would help all of us in this industry, both L&D professionals, the technical people like Dr. Soji was talking about in terms of finding support afterwards. The reason I say that is when all that information is put to maybe into a document or is conveyed, you would see that the cost is not as much as it is relatively, because it gives you all those things. What we've had to do over the years is we find out that after we deploy probably the LMS, basic LMS, then organizations call and say, oh, we thought your LMS could also do proctoring, or we thought your LMS could also help us with recruitment. And we usually just tell them that because it's a specialized LMS that delivers training content, we are sorry that you have to stay in that lane. So I hope that kind of clears that up. They have given the L&D perspective. I wanted to give the technology perspective. Now, coming to the second question, in terms of challenges, accessing content, and what we could help the audience to do. Right. You have to look at offline alternatives, because there is a major burden if you tell people to go home and you are counting on their internet. A lot of us live in remote areas. I live in a house that doesn't have any internet. It's a problem to call me at home. So I literally have to go out of my house and make calls. So imagine if I was trying to do my e-learning at home.
Okay.
So that's one part of it. The second part of it is you have to have probably downloadable materials to say you are able to download this on your personal device and you can access it, at other times.
Okay.
The only problem with that is we have so many top companies that have maybe sensitive materials. But what we've been pushing for a while to say, this is learning. Let's not overcomplicate it, It's not the CIA, it's not the FBI. So we also encourage organizations to make sure that whatever you are sending out, let's try as much as possible to make sure that it's not the kind of sensitive information that can come back to hurt you if it gets into the wrong hands.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Please, let's appreciate him. All right, in our world of today, when we engage our staff and employees to take e-learning courses, so sometimes you get the emails, boom, you've been assigned to take this e-learning course within the next 1 week, and when the time expires, and that's it. So when it is close to that time, you'd see employees log into the LMS and they do boom, 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 and in less than 20 minutes,
They're done.
They are done. Do we agree? All right, thank you. So how can we, I'm asking this question to Mr. Onesimus, how can organizations ensure that their e-learning courses are engaging and interactive and not a passive experience for learners? Because I'm sure that if these e-learning courses are engaging and interactive, once I go in as a learner and I see maybe the first slide and I take the next slide and I take the next slide and I see that it's engaging and it's making sense and I'm learning from it. Yes, I'm not going to, even though I may not have the time left, but I'm not going to do the boom, boom, boom. That's like next. So how can organizations ensure that their e-learning courses are engaging and interactive?
Okay, thank you very much. I think it is important because the objective of learning content is to ensure that people engage with it. So for employees to engage with learning content, it has to be interactive. And there are some other things that we need to add, like gamification, so that employees are relating. It's looking like a live scenario, not like you just go there and you are listening all through, and you are not engaging, you are not relating with the content. So it's important that there's gamification, whereby once an employee finishes a course, he gets a badge, or something like leaderboard can be incorporated. Things that will make it very, very interactive. That you are talking to the platform, so that you are not sleeping off on learning, or you don't just go and you just drag everything and end, but you go through it, like the gamification we're talking about. So at every point in time, it takes you. If you don't complete a particular module, you can't move to the next. Okay. So those are the kind of interactivity I'm talking about. So it's very important, so that employees can go through the whole content and take the learning at the end of it all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Want to add to that? Please go ahead.
Add to what he just said. When you talk about UX, that's user interface and user experience.
Yes,
it's key. If the LMS is not very interactive, they won't want to go there. Nobody wants to go to an LMS and all you see is prose. You just read. You can't do anything. You can't even navigate easily and all that. Then, of course, the experience. If every time I go to the LMS, there are glitches, I bookmark, I come back, I have to start the course all over. Do you understand? I start the course, it goes off. I'm struggling to get back. If the glitches are there, people would not want to go there. So it's very important that the interface, very appealing, very interactive, and the experience is such that they always want to go there with minimal distortions and challenges. Then they would want to go there really.
All right, thank you so much. Dr. Soji, would you want to add?
Yeah, thank you very much. Well said. I just want to add one or two things. Basically, we talked about bite size. one thing that has actually helped in our own organization in ensuring that people actually learn, because especially when we have a session that is maybe like 3 hours, 4 hours session, we just break it into 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and we give people maybe a month or thereabout to finish the course. And at the end of each module, you have an assessment. And like they said, there are so many things that were introduced, gamification, and it was also very interactive in such a way that people are hearing. It creates some kind of an appetite within them. The appetite to really go back to that platform, because there are so many examples that are relatable to what they do on their desk. And when people realize that those things really speaks to their functions, to their interest, it's all about what is in it for me. Definitely people want to really get attracted to such a learning platform. So when people realize that this is part of something that adds value to them, people tend to give their best to it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Please, can we appreciate him? All right, I'd like to ask Nkechi, is there, during classroom programs and at the end of the programs, we have like actionable learning points that our staff can implement when they go back to the office. How can that be done using technology, especially when we take e-learning courses on the LMS?
Thank you. So you look at post-instructional design. So it's what happens after the session has ended. So you can give participants or learners maybe after assignments that they can take and submit later. You can even give them assessments, even give them task-based projects that they can go back, work on those projects, come back, log in or submit online. So these are some of the things you can actually do to make sure that after learning has happened on the LMS, people can go back and complete tasks, submit assignments, and even quizzes and assessments. So these are some of the things that you can do to make sure that long after they've completed courses on the LMS, they can still go back there, because I would want to know if I've submitted an assignment. I want to know if I did well on the assignment, and the assessment, how well I did, and with the quizzes. And also you can make sure that your LMS has some of these features that, maybe 2 weeks, a month after completing a course, you can go back and submit projects, submit assignments, and things like that.
All right, thank you. Onesimus, please, would you like to add to it?
Okay, I think it's important if you're going to have an LMS, it should have reporting functions that you can be able to track progress of your learners. You know who is learning and who is not learning. So at intervals, you are giving reports as to the departments that are learning, and like by is it Tayo?
DG.
Yeah, DG. Sorry. Like you mentioned, reward system is very important. There's something we call internal marketing. For L&D professionals, you have to create awareness concerning your platform, awareness about learning. In fact, you can even set a day, learning day, and you do T-shirts for L&D professionals so that you wear, for L&D department, you wear the T-shirt and let people know that, today is learning day. Let them bring back their minds to the fact that it's important for them to learn on the platform. Because a lot of people are just on the platform, they don't even go through it. They don't learn. They just have it on their system. So awareness is very, very key. Internal market, even for the executives, because that is where decision is taken from. So some executives don't learn. They just probably because the courses that are on the platform are not skewed towards their level. So that is important. Like for us, we have what we call the Leadership Development Program on our Learning Experience platform.
Okay.
So that is skewed towards executives.
C-suits?
Yeah, C-suits. So once they see courses like that, I think they will be encouraged to take those kind of courses. So you do do executive learning day, do employee learning day. Those kind of things, those kind of initiatives will make employees want to learn on the platform.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Please, can we appreciate our panelists? All right, before we round up, we'd like to take 1 or 2 questions, please. Oh, Two? All right, please, let's take two. Please. Thank you. Yes, please go ahead. Please, can we get someone to help him with the mic? Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much.
Good evening.
So I want to ask a question. This question will be best directed to Mr. Omotayo.
Okay.
Here. Here. Okay, it's a question around adoption from a perspective of an e-learning consultant. So you'd realize that as much as e-learning is fast-paced, it is also passive, and many organizations still see it this way. They still want some form of instructor-led, where learners can actually see their CEO talking to them, or an instructor actually talking to them. How are you able to conveniently convince them that e-learning is perfect for them when they know fully well that this person, the learner, might just go through the course and not really taking all the lessons the way they should? Just as Claudette also said, you want to ensure that people are playful, when they're watching these courses. Some organizations, in fact, want some form of collaborative learning in the way that you can actually interact with your colleagues when taking this learning. So how do you convince, as a consultant, right, organizations who are quite draggy, in actually adopting e-learning, knowing fully well that they almost do not see it as different from classroom training at the end of the day?
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I actually got two parts. I already have your answer, but then you switched it to how do I convince organization? When you started, I thought what you were going to say is how do you convince the staff body? So we'll answer it in both ways. Convincing the staff body, right? Dr. Soji said rewards program, right? That's the first thing. So we have a learning management system. We have an AI character in there called Tigger that pops up on your screen every once in a while that says, take this course or take 2 courses and win 2 movie tickets. That's an incentive for the staff body to say, if I actually take this course and I pass, I might win tickets, or I might win a refrigerator, or I might win a microwave, something like that. Secondly, for those that still want what you talked about in terms of instructor-led, it has to be a blended learning approach. So before now, you would have done your needs analysis. You'd have seen how many people are saying, oh no, I prefer to be in a class. Oh, e-learning is boring. I don't like the content. So you have to kind of ease it in. So we go from 3 face-to-face trainings every month to maybe 2 or 1, backed up with the e-learning. Or the way customers used to do it back in the day, where you go still take the face-to-face class, but you come back to the office to do the assessment online. And with the assessment, you are doing feedbacks. Now, in terms of the companies you talked about, you have to be clear in your communication about the benefits. One of those benefits is cost. It's funny, while we were out on break, a young lady actually came up to me and I was telling her this. So let's look at your staff strength and let's say, well, you are maybe 500 staff, right? And your e-learning budget every year is 20 million, correct? If you don't buy an e-learning platform, say your budget is 20 million for training, for training is 20 million. If you don't have an e-learning platform, it means that you are probably going to spend 20 million every year. If you are not careful, it will go beyond that.
Thank you very much.